Alrighty, welcome back for another episode of The Sound of Sosa. I'm here with Brandon. We got a few interesting things to talk about today. Just some serious things, mostly fun things. We both know we're not experts on anything, but we just like discussing them and getting the ideas out there, and kind of bouncing them back and forth. So, we can get right to it. I know one thing we were talking about earlier was the the Trump trials and like that's gonna be freaking the title of what people call this during the Trump trial days. Um, you know what I mean? Like how people coin stuff like that. I really feel like that'd be a good one. During the Trump trial, how they're dismiss or suspending indefinitely or how they suspended indefinitely the documents with him. And I know you had mentioned how it's like, yeah, because if they tag if they tag Biden with it, then they have to tag him with it. But since they're not tagging Biden, they can't tag him. And
Right.
that's an amazing point, that you made but it's like they notice it with the immediate, but what scares me is how much other shit have these people done that they are not thinking that as soon as a Republican gets into power, they're fucked because they're gonna use it against them. You know what I mean? They're gonna it's the simple thing of fight fire with fire.
Yeah.
It's it,
I hope he does something about it. I mean, because you think about it, I mean, you got everybody gunning for you on bullshit charges, and then you get into office. If you're not going to clean house and you're going to let just things take its natural course, I mean, they're going to kind of screw you over. I mean, let's think about it. When he was in office for the first 4 years, no matter what he did, they did everything to derail any kind of progress
yeah.
that he did, and I can almost see that now. And who knows? I mean, it could be even worse. I wouldn't be surprised if they start paying people to start doing riots and shit like that.
I mean, didn't it? Who's the guy that like supposedly backs who backs Antifa? Is that Soros?
A lot of people have said that Soros paid a lot of money supposedly again. Those kind of groups, any kind of like leftist, socialist, communist type groups that we got here. I mean, shit. I mean, even people say Black Lives Matter is even like a Marxist type of group. I mean, you look them up. They at certain interviews, they've even said they're trained Marxists. I mean, shit, they're telling you what they are.
Because people, yeah, I mean, people look at socialism as this solution when I don't think any hard lined ideology is good. You know what I
No,
mean? Because that's not how life works. Nothing works in hard lines.
no
Everything,
guidelines. I mean,
yeah,
flexibility.
yeah, they're guidelines. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like there's guidelines that work, but once you get too rigid in any type of thing, and like I think this also would probably if I could break it down to like a mathematical equation, it would say like what I'm speaking about now also equals extreme circumstance. Like extreme
Yeah,
capitalism or extreme, Christianity or extreme
yeah.
Catholicism, anything like that. So that's kind of what I'm equating it to. But like, you got to have a blend of stuff. A blend of ideas is always the best. No,
Well, you got to have that ability to adapt and change to certain things. Because I mean, the one thing I realized in 43 years ain't nothing fucking cut and dry in life. Ain't nothing written in stone. I mean, yeah, you might have your core values and the things you believe in. And don't get me wrong. I mean, those are good things to have. But sometimes life throws up challenges in certain situations where either you got to change completely or at least change for the moment to kind of adapt to it.
yeah,
Um, you got to have some flexibility in life and about a lot of things. You have to. You just do. I mean, you also go to the topic of, like, say, for example, everybody bitching and crying about the whole abortion thing. Well, if you think about it, the Supreme Court did the right thing. There's no point of the federal government getting involved. You just kick it back to the states to decide. So if Kentucky wants to do this, and Illinois wants to do that, and Florida wants to do this, then let that state decide what it's going to do. You don't have to have the federal government involved for that. Like you said, you got to have some flexibility and compromise. You have to.
I think the government shouldn't be involved in that shit at all. I think they should allow the people to choose. You know what I mean? Because I don't think like I do agree with what you're saying that the federal government should kick more stuff back to the states. I do agree with
Oh,
that because that decentralizes power. And the federal government, yeah, they're great and everything, but in essence, it's so far removed from the people now because of the way the population has grown. It's become too powerful, and
Oh,
it's saying that, I think an adult who is metabolically healthy, and I say metabolically healthy with extreme, like extreme prejudice on it, because that means full metabolical health. Means anything that is metabolically reacting in your body, anything that is going on physiological in your body is good. Should be able to have sovereignty over their own body. And when I say that, and when I say it so like enthusiastically, is because I mean even with mind. But I believe we should have choices over our body. I don't think a woman should be told what she can do with it. I don't think we should be able to be told what we can do with our consciousness. I don't think we should be able to be told what we can do to ourselves. We can do whatever we essentially want. And I don't agree with suicide at all. But if someone is gone through everything and they're still in so much pain, or they want to, I don't think we should let people walk in the door and say, hey, I want to end it. No, I think they should have to go through a series of things before they could even try to. So that's why
yeah,
like Sweden's plan and stuff like that, like they have a good thing on it. I don't agree with what Canada does. Canada is like, hey, you're poor, you can kill yourself. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's a failure of society, dude. That is not an ailment. Like, and I'm 100% serious. That they really were trying. Are trying. I don't know if they got shot down, but they were trying to pass that. Like, that's fucked up. Like, how could you
gotta
do?
have, or you got to have um some kind of guidelines, if that makes any sense. You got to have something within reason. Like for example, if you got a woman that's just out there sleeping around and being, a complete whore and just getting pregnant and then wants to get abortion after abortion, well, you know, that's something that you should be taking care of yourself and preventing that prevent from that happening. There's ways to prevent yourself from getting pregnant so you don't have to get the abortion.
Yeah,
Now, I understand there was a rape case of incest, or let's say a woman did get pregnant, she wants to have a kid, and all of a sudden some kind of medical issue comes up to where it could possibly kill her.
yeah.
And then, okay, I can understand certain things within that realm. Yeah, it should be a case by case basis in a way, but uh, but just to do it just because you want to, I mean, it's kind of jacked up. You know what I mean? You should
Oh,
have been a responsible adult and should have thought about this before you decided to go ahead and take the plunge.
yeah. No, and I get it, and I think I just don't like the government being involved in that decision. You know what I mean? Like I understand, like, yeah, there needs to be repercussions and stuff, and like people sometimes they need that. But
You-
when I'm thinking of it, I'm also thinking of the child. And people say, oh, well, there's people that'll adopt, but a lot of them, a lot of kids go through that system, and they're so fucked because of that system. That system is like, yeah, it's great that we do it, but there's I feel like more failures of our social systems than there are prospers. And I shouldn't say social systems, that's too wide of a thing, but in our like our child services stuff. You know what I mean? Like you hear so many horror stories about these kids that go through the system where how bad it was, or foster parents that just do it for the money, and because
oh
people
yeah,
like that stuff. And so when I think of it, like I think of it like, okay, if that person doesn't want the kid, like sometimes it may be better. And like I see, it's hard for me to say this stuff too, because like I am a Christian and I do believe in life, and I know that 99% of Christians disagree with me on this. But I have a hard time pushing something like that. You know what I mean? When I don't even understand it completely because I can't get pregnant. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm
yeah.
not. It doesn't mean that I can't make a decision on it. That I don't think that's true. I think even I have enough. Uh, I have enough. Is it empathy or sympathy? Empathy, I think. Empathy for people, and I know how to put myself in other people's shoes enough to make a logical decision. And I don't know. I really do feel like it should just be in the power of the people. And like, yeah, what you're saying with the someone that's completely being obliterate, like just out there with the situation, getting pregnant and just keeps getting them, keeps getting them. There's definitely ways for nature to take care of that. Nature will eventually make it to where she is so scarred over, unfortunately, that can happen, and that can happen the first time too. So
And
it's
that I don't think the government should be paying for any of that too. They
Oh
should be
hell
coming
no.
out.
Nope.
That's coming out of pocket. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Because it's like I said, if you don't want to sit there and pay for an abortion, well, do the shit that's going to help prevent that from you getting pregnant. So you know what I mean? Because
I
that ain't
agree.
right.
I agree
Like I said,
100% with that.
like I said, it depends on the situation. I understand some people might have to get it done for health reasons, and they're saying shit happens.
Yeah.
But just to go off to do it whenever because you want to do it, there has to be some kind of guidelines. There has to be some kind of governance over it to a degree. You know what I mean? There has to be something. You can't just let people just do it because they want to do it. You know what I mean? There
Yeah.
has to be something.
Yeah. I, I I just have a hard time with the whole
Yeah,
the
well, it's not easy subject. I mean, because
yeah.
for
It's
you might go one way about it, and then
I'm
you
sure my
know,
perspective can change for sure on it.
situation where something like that, you might get caught up in that situation, even though you can't get pregnant.
My daughter,
Let's say,
or yeah.
with and you get her pregnant or something like that, or whatever, some stupid shit like that, and you might feel, okay, well, I want to keep the kid. She doesn't, or she might want to keep the kid, and you don't. So yeah, even though she's having the baby and she's going through it, it still affects everybody else who's connected to it in one way, shape, or form.
Oh, 100%. Like I do think there uh, there's a large span of people who that will affect outside of that person. And so that's something that I've always felt uncomfortable with that part of the topic of it is like, does the father of that child have a say in whether the mother can get an abortion or not?
Yeah,
That
so I mean,
that would be a hard one for me because like say, there was an instance where, just erase my past right now and say, hey, still I'm still, you know, trying to have children and we have one, but then something happens to where it doesn't pan out and she then doesn't want to have the kid because we're not going to be together or something like that. And it's like, wait, but I want to have this kid. You know what I mean? Like that. In the
yeah,
end, personally, in that situation, I would just say, hey, that's your right, and it would fucking kill me in the end. But I do understand how a person could 1000% fight tooth and nail to keep that kid because they want it. And I think they should have the right to fight for it to show that but in the end, it's kind of that's a tricky subject there
yeah,
because
because
they don't have to go
different
through
way.
they don't have to go through the body shit like the wife does.
Yeah, yeah, it's
And
definitely one that for sure. I mean, it's
I hope I never
a,
have to be in that
a
situation.
dry.
Say it again.
It's definitely not one of those clear cut, dry situations.
No, and so that's why like you can't have hardline stuff. You know what I mean? That's all. That's
Right.
why. That's how we got on this topic is because hardline stuff does not work. You have to have variability to it. And one thing I could agree on with the subject, if to compromise with it, would be like you said, a guideline. Obviously, there's two hardline sides to it, and there needs to be a middle point. And to what you're saying would probably be the solution, honestly. Um, because I don't think people are going to ever agree to complete government step away from it. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
so to meet in the middle, it would be to have guidelines where it's examined on a case by case basis to where it can be permissible in sign in cases of uh, malintent. Then yeah, it could be blocked. I think that in a perfect world I would want it my way, obviously, but in my perfect world at least. But unfortunately, compromise is so essential. I think that would be the compromisable answer would be
yeah,
um
for sure.
not just one way or the other, yes or no. There has to be some in between. And it's kind of like the fuckery of society there. Like I always get so annoyed with law because it's like I fucking hate the way it's written because it's written to keep lawyers with jobs is the joke. You know what I mean? Like it's written to where you need these motherfuckers to interpret it for us. But it's
Imagine
it's
mass layoff lawyers. That'd be some crazy shit.
well, AI is gonna replace them soon enough. Their job's not that difficult. In all reality, AI has proven. I'm not saying I could do it, but I'm sure enough.
I don't
If
think
I put my
I'm a
mind to
lawyer.
it, I probably could. What'd you say?
I don't think you want me as a lawyer. I'll fuck it up somehow.
Oh, I definitely would probably fuck up a case or two, you know. Uh, I'll win some though. I'll get some wins under the belt.
Yeah, and I win some, lose some type of deal. Yeah,
uh, what does Smokey say? When he comes around, I shut up. When he leaves, I keep talking though.
yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, no, and so like I really it's the whole that decision for them to suspend that also scares me too with that with this whole like I know you believe that the election was stolen. I don't know. I don't have enough like self obtained evidence to make a individual decision on it. So but one thing that would be a telltale sign is if Biden wins again. I think that that will be a telltale sign. And also, too, what scares me is if they're willing to suspend this case on Trump's side, that means that they must be banking on keeping power. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if they let them in, there's already some egregious things they've done outside of the law, circumventing the Congress, circumventing, you know what I mean? There's been a lot of with like giving giving aid or doing attacks or bombings and things like that. They've circumvented Congress numerous ways throughout history to where it was used by the other side of the party in different ways afterwards. So they know it's coming if they let the race run out. And with Trump being the leader, it's like they're gonna have to steal it. It almost adds to the validity of that they stole the first one to me. And like I said, I don't know. I don't go either way with it, but the way the cards are stacking up with that, it makes it look like they're preparing to steal this fucking election.
To me, I kind of feel like the two extreme ways, in my opinion, that the left has is either it's going to be one or two things. Either I'm afraid either they're going to make an attempt on his life, or they're going to do things to sabotage his time in office on every level at every step of the way. Those are my two biggest concerns. And I honestly think that we're at a point where that all it's going to take is a major spillover on something, and I think it's going to rip the country apart. That's why I kind of think we're already on that track. It's just a matter of what's it going to be.
See, like, are you
Because
talking about like an event or like a like? Because I've all tragic events in our country's history have brought us together. Um, but I
yeah,
don't
but
know exactly what you're alluding to though.
like a prime example, like if you were to read about the American Civil War and start looking into it, you can go back to where things really start bubbling over, starting around like 1850, where you
Mm-hmm.
had like Kansas. That was kind of like a sample of what was going to come in about 10 years from that point. So, I mean, when you kind of look at it, I mean,
What happened there? 'Cause I'm not familiar with it.
from what I remember reading about it and stuff like that, is that you basically had abolitionists fighting with slaveholders in Kansas and Nebraska, I think, during the 1850s. They were trying to add Kansas onto a state, and there was a big debate if it was going to be a free state or a slave state. And so, obviously, shit boiled over where passions ran high, and there was open fighting in Kansas about it. So, I mean, when you look at it from that point of view, look what happened 10 years later. The ship boiled over where the Civil War started, and you had a number of states leaving the Union, and that went on for 4 years, and that killed hundreds of thousands of people. Um, this country is so divided on numerous, what number, but a number of topics to where all it's going to take is one powder keg to hit it in the right spot, and boom, there you go. And it's not going to be beneficial for anybody in that case. But then again, people are afraid of not watching football on Sundays and having their trash taken out. So I'm surprised that hasn't happened in some ways now. But then when you kind of look at it, it kind of has. You know what I mean? So I just think that in our lifetime, I'm afraid it's going to happen. I'll be shocked if it didn't, because the way shit's going, it's not going good, man. It's not getting better. It's just only getting worse. and then we're sending millions of dollars outside the country, billions of dollars, when you need to fix the problems here at home. That's like saying I'm going to help that family down the street over there get all their shit together and help them out. But yet my house is in an uproar. Shit ain't going on. Kids are acting all crazy. You're not cleaning your house and take care of your own problems, but yeah, you're going to take care of somebody else's.
Yeah.
That doesn't make no sense, man. That absolutely doesn't make any sense. And this country as a whole, I mean, this country has a culture crisis right now.
Huge one.
It does. It seriously does. Before you had compromises, and everybody kind of let everybody, leave to their own shit. Now you got everybody else trying to tell you what to do. What is right, what is wrong. Nobody has common sense no more. There's no more common sense. There's no more thinking with your own brain. It's not a hard thing to figure out. It really isn't. It really isn't.
No, to me, yeah. There's the cultural things. I think is a side effect of having not enough real shit going on. Like not, you know what I mean? Like we've seen it in in societies. Um,
We basically been living too good for too long, I guess.
that's kind of what it almost equates to, and it's shitty to say it, but like if you look at like Greece, eventually they started having more luxuries, more time, and all these little
Rome,
stupid things popped up. You know what I mean? And then it caused the fall of it. I once had a friend's father tell me how he believed that gay marriage being allowed was the the precipice of societies collapsing, and he referenced like 4 or 5 different instances where it happened. And I was like, whoa, I didn't know that was true. But I'm not saying that's what's happening, but like it I think he was focused on the wrong thing just because of the way he grew up. I think it's not about it's because we allow gay marriage, that's what's happening. No, I think with more time we start to find issues amongst each other that we start to exacerbate. Like I said, I believe in live and let live. I was just using that as an example. I don't want anyone to get freaking bent out of shape
yeah,
about that, but
yeah, whether you want, but it's just when it becomes a problem when you start forcing it on other people to accept it. That's when it becomes a problem.
yeah, no, one hundred
When you
percent.
force people to do that, that's when it becomes a big issue. You know what I mean? So it's like like my sister's gay. She's married
Yeah,
to another woman, and that's fine. If that's what you want to do, if you're happy, you're happy. As long as you ain't fucking with nobody and forcing it on other people, then you do what you got to do. If you're one of the people who don't like it, don't agree with it, then just mind your own business. You know what I mean? That's just it's like I said, common sense.
yeah,
It's just you know what I mean. Mind your own business, and you'll be fine. But when you have it to where you're having society as a whole ramming it down people's throats and forcing people to go along with it or accept it, like they, you got to accept it no matter what. No, that's where all that becomes a problem.
yeah, and like having you know what people want without even knowing the person. You know what I mean? People get offended by like if you address them as him or her, and it's like, dude, that stuff to me is just so outrageous. It's like you can't take someone who has learned to address someone as sir or ma'am their whole life and tell them now if you address them as someone as that they can get upset with you, and that's okay that they get upset with you for that. It's like, dude, fuck you. Like that's the way the
Yeah,
person's programmed. Like
well, and the thing is too, it's like, for example, like okay, if you want to wear your mother's Sunday clothes, you want to wear lipstick and all that shit, and you go out there in society, and it's obvious that you're a man. You look at you, you're kind of built and chiseled, and everybody knows who the hell you are, and then everybody's supposed to accept that. That's pretty fucked up. If you're passable and nobody knows, then well, don't make a big deal about it. Go about your business, and then that's it. But like I said, to openly force people to into it, that's like I said, that's where I have the problem at too. And the other thing is too, if you want to be trans, I also think that law enforcement or definitely the medical field should know about that. regardless if you get it legally changed or whatever. Because let's say something happens to you and the ambulance comes or law enforcement has to show up, they have to know your real identity and your real background in order to handle the situation. You know what I mean? Because just like men and women, you give certain drugs to certain people, they're going to react a certain way. So if the doctor has to treat you, they got to know who you are and what your background is in order to do it right. Just like law enforcement, you're going to arrest somebody, you got to know who the hell you're arresting.
Oh
You know what
no,
I mean?
I agree with
You know,
that. Because there's
like
definitely
they,
go ahead.
because I mean, you call yourself Susie Q, but your real name is Joe Blow. Um, they got to know those things, regardless whether you legally change it or not. But like I said, that's just my opinion on it. Just you shouldn't. Society has gotten to where it's forcing itself. Is the whole subject is forcing itself onto other people, and that's where I think now that's where the major problem is.
Yeah.
And with like especially with kids in school, I don't think you need to be having drag queens showing up to read them a storybook and shit like that. That thing's kind of jacked up. That's something that a person on an individual basis will have to decide on their own when they're much older. You shouldn't be having that shit in front of kids at a young age. When they get older and they come to that time where they start asking questions, then probably that's where the parents need to step in and talk that out with them. You know what I mean? There's ways of doing things, and that's definitely not the way of doing it.
No, and it's like we have laws to protect children against other type of stuff like that, like advertising to kids and stuff like that. Like like what is it? What you can't like advertising cigarettes to kids. Like they put laws in order to stop that. You know what I mean? Because they were
Yeah,
finding that there was advertisements that were more geared towards children than adults. Why can
right.
we stop that, but we can't stop this? Because it may not kill someone from dressing like a girl.
Yeah,
But what does it do to them mentally when they go into a transition and then they realize they fucked up because they did it before their brain was fully developed and they didn't realize what they were doing?
yeah.
You know what
I,
I
I
mean? Like
definitely.
that will kill someone mentally, and which will lead to a suicide, or you know what I mean? Like it's it may not be
There,
as fast of a kill.
there definitely should be some kind of age. I mean, if you're gonna, if a person wants to go in that direction, I definitely think there needs to be like you're gonna go. I mean, you're gonna go off on that deep end and get shit lobbed off or added on or whatever the case you're gonna do. Um, there definitely needs to be a psych eval, and you definitely got to be probably at a certain age. And I think the other thing too is you hear stories about people doing that, and then they end up regretting it down the road. That shit you can't change back, man. Once you do it, that's it. There ain't no coming back. There ain't no reset button.
No.
You're pretty much fucked. You ain't coming back from it. And so I think a lot of people need to realize that too. Instead of promoting that and cramming down people's throats, you got to talk to somebody and figure out, hey, that's what you're gonna do or not. Because once you make that leap, that's it. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know what it is. It's like I remember as a kid growing up and stuff like that. How should I say? Whatever happened to just regular gay and lesbians? You know what I mean? If you're gay, you're gay. You're lesbian, you're lesbian. Whatever happened to that? And then not only that, people got to sit there and announce it like, "Oh, look at me, I'm gay, I'm lesbian now." Who gives a fuck, really? You ain't no more special than what you were 5 minutes ago before you told everybody. Your family and friends know who the fuck you are already.
Well, at
They
least you
probably
shouldn't be.
they
For
probably
some
know
reason, society
already.
has started to like idolize it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're so strong. You're so. I mean, not
Gives a shit.
like, yeah, great. I'm glad that you're okay with it and you're okay to tell people about it. But I mean, we're
You ain't
not.
no more you were before you announced it. Because if you're still a dipshit, you're still a dipshit.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So that doesn't make you any more special. Like I said, people, if you come out and tell people that, well, shit, people are like, well, I already knew that about you for years.
yeah,
Nobody cares. There's plenty of famous people you look throughout history who are gay or whatever. Nobody gives a shit.
right. And like, it wasn't a weird thing. Like they just used to call it. I forgot they said they called it, but it was like back in like the 30s. It wasn't like a completely like you know what I mean? It got like demonized in like the 50s and 60s and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah,
it's like it became this like horrible thing to do, and they kind of led on this track to like where we are now. But it's like they didn't really care. Like, okay, you know, plenty of
It's gone
times,
way off the rails. It's
yeah,
gone completely in the opposite direction. I can understand respecting the people, things like that or whatever. But now it's gone completely in the opposite direction. People like that talk about being persecuted and all that kind of stuff. Now you're turning around and you want to be the persecutor now and shit like that. You're basically just as bad as the other motherfuckers were before you.
yeah.
You ain't no better. You ain't no better. That's just what it comes down to, man. Uh, like I said, man, it just if you look at society as a whole, yeah, there should be certain traditions. There should be things done a certain way. You know what I mean? But like I said, it's not what it was, man. It's completely different than what it was 10 years ago, man. And that's only 10 years.
I mean,
And
I
like
would
I
say
said,
five.
I noticed things started getting weird a couple years after I got out of the army. Like I said, around 2014, I noticed shit started really going sideways. Really started going sideways. I mean, you look at, for example, another example too about shit going weird. Um, you look at a lot of these Confederate monuments that were up. These monuments been up for like almost like 100 years almost. No one gave a shit about it really. I mean, some people revere it or whatever, and stuff like that. And if that's what you want to do, fine. But um, now all of a sudden you got to tear them down, and it's evil and everything else. If you didn't like the stuff and you don't want to be around it, then just don't go to it. You know what I mean? You ain't got to sit there and start tearing shit down and start erasing shit. Whether it's good or bad, whatever your opinion lies, that's still part of U.S. history. You got to understand the country's history from all perspectives to completely understand it. You know what I mean? Erasing shit, tearing shit down, that's not the way to go, man. Because eventually, some point down the line, whether it's a generation from now, two, three, whatever, you're gonna repeat the same bullshit.
And that's what's scary about this is really scary about the what do they call it? Something of history. Uh Revisionist history. Revisionist history is completely messed up a lot of the time because it's usually like revising it to erase bad shit. And it's like, why are we erasing that? We need to know about the bad times because those created the good times, first off. And second off, the bad times need to be learned more than the good times because if the bad times are not learned properly and are not understood for why things went bad and what caused them to go bad and the sequence of events that, maybe
Yeah,
corrected that bad and so on. If we don't learn that, then like you said, it's the oldest thing in the book. If you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it. And
yeah,
it's like it's I think that's why we see all this like control of information coming out and stuff like that. And to me, a lot of this culture shit, I feel like, is also the big distraction. Because they want us to look over here, so we're not paying attention over here, and they realized that good stuff wasn't doing it anymore. Like nice things that happen, like back in the day on the news, they would put, "Oh, this happened," and so like it kind of made people, forget about all the horrible shit that just told them was going on, or all
yeah.
the bad shit that's really going on, or how the gas prices were fucking insane in the '80s. Like, um, the
They're more insane now than they were in the '80s.
dude, gas is a fucking joke. It is a fucking joke. How is gas more expensive than, or how is milk more expensive than gas? First off.
Fucking inflation's a motherfucker, man.
It just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? And so like it's and how is everybody okay with gas at such a high price consistently right now when literally it'll go up 75 cents? Everyone gets so mad. It drops 15. Everyone is so happy again. They forgot that it just went up 75 cents and they only dropped to 15, but they're still so fucking happy. And then it'll, say some more time goes past. It raises up another 50 cents. They drop it 10 cents again. It's like we really just got fucked in the ass for $1.15 a gallon, and everyone's sitting here celebrating. Oh, gas prices are back down. It's like
Yeah,
it's the biggest slot machine trick ever pulled in history. Like,
I mean, I can't remember what states offhand what they were, but I know that most of them tend to be northern states. They got I seen this on the news. I can't remember where when I seen it, but there's a number of states up north that are looking to do away with gasoline cars altogether within the next probably like 10 years or so or less. And I mean, I'm obviously not an expert in the oil business or economics or any of that kind of shit. But I mean, when you drive around, especially on the highways, all the shit that's being transported in bulk is all done by semis. They're all diesel powered gas or whatever fuck, you know what I mean? So all these companies that are delivering shit and transporting stuff, what the hell do you think's gonna happen to that if you sit there and actually enforce in your state that hey, you can't drive gasoline or diesel vehicles anymore? So you might as well go back to having horses, I guess, at that point. And you see how much electric cars cost on top of that, and then
Yeah.
plus you don't got enough energy or power to charge up all them things for everybody to have all this shit at once. It's just not there. And what's going to happen? All this shit's going to collapse. It's going to collapse.
Well, I think it actually might. So, to me, I've always said they've tried to eliminate the middle class, and I think the reason why they try to eliminate the middle class is because the middle class is the biggest opponent to the upper class. People can the mobility from lower class to upper class is only in those special circumstances. It's not consistent like you can see from middle class to upper class.
Middle class is the backbone.
It is
When you
of it's the backbone of a first world country.
yeah
But if they were to limit how far we could travel, if they were to limit the amount of goods that come in, if they were to limit all this stuff, it would help them destroy the middle class. Because,
yeah
like you said, the cost of it,
it's
the
called
cost is the
communism.
huge thing. And like I said, remember when we talked about with COVID, how I believe that COVID was almost a nationalization of business.
Yeah,
I think that's true, and this kind of adds to it a little bit. And again, I'm seeing through this biased perspective because it's like a theory I'm working on. But eh, if
I see exactly.
you were to, because think about how many independent truckers there are. One of the biggest um entrepreneur you could call them are the contract truckers. You know what I mean? The ones that get the loads and just they'll get
Yeah,
5 grand. They do it all themselves. They pick up the load, they drop it, blah blah. But they're not working for anybody. They're all contract work, and
yeah,
so they're technically an entrepreneur at that point.
right.
And
Yeah, you.
they're one of the
They're
last
all,
true forces of entrepreneurs. And they can a lot of truckers make good money and they're able to do things and they're able to prosper a little bit more. And if you start making them all try to buy an electric truck, they do have electric semis. Tesla made one that's pretty fucking badass. Jay Leno did like a little
yeah,
podcast on it.
costs. And then even if you bought that, how much that battery going to cost to replace it? Because eventually, just like anything else,
You have to replace. Yeah,
you got to stop somewhere and you got to charge up. And how long is that charging going to take? Because that could fuck with your drop time of your loads and everything else. Plus, is there any stations along your route that where you're going in particular is going to have that? Those are simple logistics you got to know if you're even going to go in that situation. And a lot of people don't realize too. And like I said, I'm obviously not expert on batteries either, but I forgot what the mineral is offhand they use to help make batteries.
lithium, I
You
think,
yeah, something like that.
or
Cobalt.
cobalt. Cobalt.
Okay, you got to mine that shit. They're talking about, oh, you can't do mining no more. It's bad for the earth. Hate to tell you, but you're gonna have to mine for that shit.
I
And they'll
think that's
sit there
Chinese propaganda. When you
and
see all
they'll
that
sit there.
stuff,
What's up?
I think the whole the stopping mining thing, I think that's
Mhm.
actually done. I think that's all Chinese propaganda
Could
because
be. I
uh,
wouldn't be surprised at this point because they don't want to hear done here in the United States because it's going to destroy the environment. But then you got to go overseas to get it. And so if you got to go overseas to get it, they're going to hold you by the nuts for that supply. So all they got to do is squeeze a little bit and you're going to fill that all the way over here. So essentially they got you by the short and curlies. And what the hell are you going to do about it then?
yeah,
Just like um, they said that when the Biden administration got in, that they don't allow any further exploration of any drilling of oil or anything else. You know what I mean? And so when that happens, gas prices go up. Uh, a lot of the Middle Eastern countries are telling us to take a hike about selling us oil. So what does that happen? The regular person gets screwed in the ass because they need that oil, which turns into gasoline in order to power stuff.
And like I said, I really like everything you keep saying too. Just keeps like, bam, elimination of middle class. Because if you
Yeah,
so one thing that I said too is like, they're building all these like huge, beautiful billion-dollar resorts, and it's like a playground for just the rich and famous. But they're building a lot of them. Like there's like I've seen like 7 that got built within the last like, or are being built or finished or about to be built within like the last 6 years. There's a shitload of them popping up everywhere.
who in the hell's
And
got the then?
exactly. And so I'm wondering, like, back in the day, there was that whole conspiracy with Walmart. Like, they're building all these Walmarts because eventually they're going to corral us into cities and we're going to be forced to be almost lived in ghettos like the Jews were. And, we will be happy with it. We're not going to need cars anymore. And we're all going to pretty much drive in golf carts. Our transportation will be limited because food will not be able to make it out to remote areas anymore. So we'll be forced to be in these cities. There will be farmers, but they'll all be closer. And it's like a closed bubble of societies, little pockets of them, but it's in order to control us more. It's almost like a Hunger Games thing if you think about it, or like a just in time thing. And so if you were to limit people's, I'm getting into some tinfoil hat conspiracy shit too. Like this isn't like anything I believe. This is just like me working through a theory out loud,
Yeah, but I mean,
live.
I'm in that direction.
It
When you
just looks like it. You know what I mean? Because if you electrical cars have, like you said, they have limitations. There's not always going to be chargers for them. What about the remote areas? What about the people that are in the remote areas? What about the people that need goods to get out there? And if goods can't get out there on a consistent basis, those people will be forced to move closer to where they can get those things on a consistent basis. Because if the truck can't make it out there, well, how the fuck are you gonna have a car out there that's electric? You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
things aren't
don't want
equating.
meat too because they say cow farts are bad for the environment, AOC and all that bullshit. So that means if you try getting a horse and you start using horses again from 100 to 200 years ago, oh, you can't do that either. That's bad for the environment. Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like it's all stupid shit they're trying to rig up against people. And like you said, man, you look at it, um, it's becoming more undone in the last 10 years, more so than ever. Cause look around you. I mean, look at the way shit is going. You can't help but not. You can't ignore it anymore. You can't. It's right there in your face. They don't hide shit no more, dude.
And that's this. I mean, I think they do hide stuff, but what scares me is
Well,
like the stuff that we see is like the tip of the iceberg. You know what I mean? And so
oh yeah,
like you always wonder like, hey, if they let us know this, how much more bad shit is in there? It's like you said about the classified files. They may have declassified it, but it's a sanitized classified version. So it's like
yeah,
there's still shit in there that is worse
yeah.
that
Read
they're
like oh,
hiding.
blacked out, and they got 2 lines telling you what is that, and then everything else is blacked out. It's like, what's the point?
Yeah, it tells the date and that's it. Like what the fuck? I got a piece of paper with a date on it. Like,
Yeah, came out May 20th. But what happened? Nothing. It's all blacked out. So like, what's
yeah,
the
right. All right, on to the next one. All right, this one says John Smith. Nothing else. All right. Declassified. We lived up to what we
yeah?
said we'd do.
It's retarded, man. It's just it's retarded. Like I said, common sense has just gone out the window completely. It doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't exist. It's a thing of the past, unfortunately.
And like, I wonder if it has to do with like the complacency that COVID brought along with it. You know what I mean? Because like people became extremely complacent after COVID. I noticed. Everyone was really compromisable. And like I'm not talking about like person to person compromisable. I'm talking about like if you want something and it's not available, you'll go to this because it is available.
Well, yeah,
And
'cause
like,
some people, depending on what it is, some people don't got a choice. You know what I
yeah. And
mean?
so like,
All the, took away all the choices.
but even people with some of the choices that had choices previously don't have them anymore, and they would have done whatever they needed to do to get themselves that choice again, but they can't
Yeah,
anymore because companies have now turned and said, hey, we offered all these choices to people. We were throwing out this shit. It was one of our biggest loss, but we needed to keep it because to appease vegans and stuff. But if we don't have it here, we're seeing that they're going and buying it from our other store over here, which is really far away, and we're seeing this happen all the time. And so these people will either do what they need to do to find it, but we're still going to keep the business, but they're not going to get upset about it and not patronize this business still. Because all the time I have vegans come in who cheat on their diet because they can't get anything that doesn't have something in it that is like a or vegetarian, whatever the fuck, whatever one can't have like any animal product. I think
I
that's
mean,
just
I can I can understand the fact that, hey, just like for your health, moderation and stuff. You want to scale back a little bit on the meat or whatever, not eat as much. Okay, that's fine. You know what I mean? But I mean, the human, the human animal has been consuming meat in some way, shape, or form for thousands of years. You know what I mean?
hundreds of
And
years.
even plant matter, crops and shit like that. So to me, I don't see anything wrong with it. I mean, you can certain ways that maybe you can butcher animals and things like that. I mean, that's I can understand if you want to do a certain way of doing it, that's fine. But to sit there and make everybody else go vegan because you want to be vegan, there's no sense of me being miserable because you're a miserable son of a bitch too. You know what I mean? You can't. It's not right. That just isn't right. If you don't like it, then don't eat it. It's that simple, man.
So
It's that simple.
what I've noticed is like a lot of these like like for the trans thing or like the vegan thing, the always really odd ones are like super pressuring and like super like, hey, it's my way, the fucking highway. Like I watched this thing with this vegan was like I would um I don't oh,
You see a number of them on TikTok too.
yeah
They'll
like
sit.
oh
They'll
I
sit there totally against eating animals, no matter what the circumstances is. And they sound like a bunch of fucking nuts, dude.
well like they do because they're un their two sidedness of it is so fucking like out there, and that's
Because
what makes me believe they have a mental illness. You know what I mean?
oh yeah,
Because like oh,
they're fucking
because
head, dude. They're
there's
really
no
whacked.
there's no philosophy behind it. You know, like 'cause, like with philosophy, like hey, you say it's okay to steal. Okay, well, what if I come and steal from you? Oh, it's not okay then. Well, that
Yeah,
doesn't make sense. That's not being equal. They have none
right.
of that. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I can't really think of a good way to put it, but that's what I'm alluding to. Is like
But
these
I get what you mean. Yeah,
yeah, and so it's like it's to me you when you see that it's starting to indicate like hey, there's something wrong with this shit. If like these people can't see outside of this thing and understand that like hey, it's okay to be outside of this thing, that's more of a cult than anything else. You know what I mean? Because that's what cults do. Cults don't they control information. They don't want anyone to think any other way. And if you think in another way, you're ousted. That's what
yeah.
they
It's
do. They kick you out.
called being batshit crazy, man. Batshit crazy, crazier than a shithouse rat. That's
Yeah.
what. That's
No,
what it. That's plain and simple. Batshit crazy.
because when these people are like, "Oh, we need to eliminate all animals," or we need to, it doesn't matter if insects die, but it matters if animals do. It's like, wait, how, like it's just kind of the same concept,
A lot of shit's all connected, man.
and it's
That's
so that logic is just to me like what I found with diet at least is because I've played around with my diet last year, last 6 months, last 8 months, a
yeah.
lot.
My on one too.
Wait,
Shit.
what?
So yeah, my ass needs to go on one too. Shit.
So when I say diet, I mean like just like my food regimen. Like I wasn't trying to like lose weight or anything like that. Or like I was just trying to see how different like eating styles affected my body.
Yeah.
And in this journey, it led me to meat. And so like I saw how good meat made me feel, and it was really just because like I was like, okay, I want to try I want to try and going all meat. It originally started off as I wanted to go all carnivore. I wanted to go all different types of meat, but
Like the keto or whatever,
not
or
even just keto, like but like carnivore.
the
Um,
carnivore.
but now when I do it, I'm gonna go all red meat. I'm not even gonna like I'm sure I'll get some chicken and stuff like that here and there, but it will be 90% red meat,
You
and it's
gotta have a little bit.
because see, dude, I can't explain it. I've tried them both. I've tried doing like I've and it's only short periods, so these are all very very short periods of time, but it was enough to make me to where it changed the way I felt on a morning wake up and going to sleep and the way I slept and when I eat like shit, I feel like shit. Like when I eat like I was eating pizza. I was eating all types of carbs. Very, I was eating some meat still, some chicken, some red meat, stuff like that. Um, Hamburger meat, obviously. So beef, pork, chicken, but it was very small amounts of it. I felt like complete shit, complete fucking shit. Had no energy, was sluggish, irritable. Couldn't think.
Depends
I
what goes in meat too. I mean, because it's like, for example, you got some of these beef producers that have these large farms, and it's not like a local thing or a small time rancher. They feed these guys grain and shit like that. And grain, it makes them more fatty instead of eating grass.
Yeah.
It's like you are what you eat. So, for example, you can get some meat that it, by some cattle that fed the proper shit eating grass. That's probably a better option than compared to getting some beef that these motherfuckers all they ate was grain, no grass at all. So that's going to play a part in the product. And so when you eat it, that's probably going to affect you in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, it does. It has a huge effect because
Like
like the grain-fed ones don't get phytonutrients from the grass. Phytonutrients are
yeah,
very important. Um,
cattle
and
are eat grass. That's what they're designed for.
like so like with chicken, you won't get phytonutrients. You know what I mean? And so it's like you can't just go on an all chicken diet. One of the
Yeah.
only diets that people have had success with completely, and the only one food group that people have completely been able to do this with is red meat, and it's because of the diversity in red meat and because of what they eat and everything. It's fucking it's crazy when you look at it because I didn't think it was gonna be true. I can't wait to the end of the year to see this study that comes out that Sean Baker alluded to about LDL levels and only red meat diets. He had there's he had observed a study going on where individuals with high LDLs who are otherwise metabolically healthy were have been being monitored. It's going on right now, so I think it ends December 8th, or the results come out December 8th, or something like that. But they all had high LDLs. They were scoped. They were to see like the amount of cartilage blockage, the amount of buildup they had in their arteries and all that stuff to see where they started.
Yeah.
And they said that so far from like he alluded to it so far that it's looking like that's the case that these individuals are not going to get the artery blockage that you see in someone who isn't metabolically healthy, where you would
All right.
see like the artery blockage, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, all that bullshit. Sorry, not type 2 diabetes, heart disease.
All right.
Um, and so he's alluding to that these if since these people are metabolically healthy, they have a high LDL and high red meat content, that they're still not going to have blockage in this year. And so what that means is that LDL is not the sole indicator of what we call bad cartilage or the cause of heart disease or cause of blockage. It's going to be
All right.
I truly think that I think carbs are a drug. And I think that it may have been a necessity to grow society, but I think that we need to be on a more protein diet. I think our bodies adapted that way, and I think we need to eat shit that grows from the ground and that is more natural. Like I love me some pasta. I love bread. I absolutely fucking love bread. And when I say that, I'm gonna say it again because I
Mm.
love bread, dude. Like it's bad. And but the way that I felt when I ate only red meat, more energy. I wasn't moody. I didn't need nicotine as much. I didn't need you know medication for pain as much. Um I didn't need a like I really was I feel so much better with it. Unfortunately, it's a hard thing to sustain financially. That's why I plan on buying a cow, but even with that, it's still hard to maintain like because I was going strong with it, and then in January, and then February came around, and I hurt my back tweaked, and so I was out of work, and so I can't afford to. If the first thing I'm going to cut is the thing that is kind of a luxury, and that is a red meat diet is a luxury at this
Yeah.
point. Um, and so I cut that out, and that's what kind of I went back to eating whatever I could because like money was tight, so I'm not gonna go and uh, buy a bunch of stuff. I'm gonna when I'm at work, I'm gonna eat the food that they provide and stuff like that, and that's when I started to realize like, hey, I need to play with my diet. And so I started playing with it, seeing okay if I exclude vegetables, what happens if I start going on a high vegetable, low everything else. What happens? That one is not good for me. I can't go vegan. But I think that's what people need to do, and I think that's the true solution to fad diets don't work. I think people need to try different true diets. Like, and I hate even
Everybody's
calling
body,
it.
you got to, like you said, you got to tweak it. There, everybody's body is different, so you got to play around with it. I mean, I understand there's like generalizations, but it everybody's different, so you got to kind of go with what your body can handle and what it can do. Just like yours would be different from mine.
Yeah,
Well, what might work for me may not work for you, type of deal.
yeah.
You know,
Like
you got to that.
I met a lady at the bar. She was in her 60s. She was freaking like 38, 40, dude. She looked amazing. And I was like, I was like, what do you do for a living? Because I was just so curious. And
Yeah,
she was not a cattle rancher. She owned some type of farm. I don't remember what it was now, but she only eats red meat, and it was like it blew my mind because she just looked amazing. Like she really did. Like she wasn't like the most beautiful woman in the world or anything like that. That's not what I meant by looking amazing. What I meant
right.
is like she just like her skin was near flawless. Like she barely had wrinkles. I had more wrinkles than she did, and I was like, "What the fuck, dude? Like it's insane how good she looked." But
Genetic.
she was she was super Hispanic too, like super Hispanic. Like she was, like had really dark skin. Like she was definitely yeah, definitely interesting woman and so humble about it. But she said like one thing that the reason why she did it, and she'd been on it for 10 years at that point, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
She had rheumatoid arthritis, and you know how like the hand starts to like I don't know, like it crimps up. You know what I mean? You ever seen that? Like what? Like
yeah.
her hands had started to do that, and she went on the diet, and she's like, I can now open my hand again, but her hand was still like messed up a little bit. Like it was still like I hate to say messed up because like it sucks because they can't prevent
Right,
that
but it
type of
wasn't
shit. Yeah, it
as it
wasn't
was.
like it doesn't look like a normal hand, and so like it, but she was able to still use it though, and like a lot of people lose the function of the hand like that. It always breaks my heart seeing an older person that it happened to because like damn dude, if only 20 years later you probably could have prevented that. You know what I mean? Like because the technology is here or like the
Right.
science is there. But it's doing all this has really opened my eyes to actually what I choose to drink and eat and stuff. Like I'll still drink like a body armor and stuff like that, which this shit, no matter how good all the good stuff it has in there for you, it's still not that good for you.
No, a lot of shit they put in, they probably didn't even tell you about either.
It's the basic stuff, dude. It's water. It's if it grows from the ground, it's as long as it's not poisonous, it's good. You know, if it's an
Yeah,
animal, it's good. Like it's the the to me it's the raw stuff that's the best. You know, like granted, I love some Cheez-Its are so fucking good. I've been looking for a bag of Doritos in this room. That's what I was looking for a minute ago earlier because I
yeah.
had a bag of Doritos somewhere, and
I
like,
don't eat Doritos or anything like that. Something that guys like. I remember when I was going through my diverticulitis shit,
oh
and
shit,
that was acting up for me. My girlfriend was looking up stuff online, and she happened to start reading this article. It was talking about like Red 40 and dyes and stuff. And we a lot of times before we started drinking more tea, we were drinking that great value, like that Kool-Aid type shit, you get from Walmart. And turns out that shit got a lot of Red 40 in it,
yeah,
a lot of heavy dyes. And so the minute we quit drinking that shit, within about a week, a lot of my shit started clearing up. Like I started feeling a lot better than what I was. My shit wasn't cramping up as much. I felt like my guts were actually getting relief, not
really,
drinking it. So it's like the shit they put in stuff nowadays, even the stuff that you think that traditionally should be good for you, is either genetic engineered or they add some shit to it. And technically, they don't have to put anything on the labels. If it's under a certain amount, they don't have to tell you they're putting it in there. So God knows what else they're putting into other shit that's supposed to be good for you,
I
supposedly.
forgot about that. Fuck
Yeah.
about the amount
So
thing.
go on the diet you want, and like you said, let's say you go on to the all meat diet, like you said, you're just going straight red meat and all that stuff. But then the other question you got to ask yourself, okay, where is that red meat coming from? Who's raising that animal? What are they eating? So yeah, in principle, yeah, you got the right idea, but what is it really come? Where is it really coming from?
Yeah, and that's why like buying the cow is important to me because I want to get one. You know, if I have the cow, I know where like I'm eliminating. That's the other thing that I'm trying to eliminate, and obviously the cost saving of it. But that was one of the big worries. Is okay because I got some
You
meat from Tony's, and I felt like these motherfuckers killed a bull, and that's why the meat was on sale because the meat was super cheap. It looked good. I cooked it. It did not taste like cow meat. It literally, I think they bought bull meat and were selling it. You know, like
it's
there's no way to fucking tell. You know what I mean? Like it's, and I really feel like when you some of these grocery stores, like the smaller ones, I do feel like they're might have some cartel ownership in them. Just
shit.
because,
You
like,
don't.
you know what I mean? Like, how much cattle's coming up from South America? You don't think the cartel have a lock on that? They're the government down there. Like, get out of it's to me it's like they're almost saying like, hey, you don't think the CIA functions on American soil anymore? Like, come on, get your head out your ass.
That though, if you're gonna get the cow thing, the one thing you could probably do is probably find other people you can at least go and like part on it
Oh yeah, yeah.
instead of by yourself. And then two is finding somebody within a reasonable amount of distance, if possible, that you can go call up directly or go to and be like, hey, we want to buy a cow, but then you probably got to pay for the butchering too.
You do.
You're
Yep.
gonna go that route unless they do that shit themselves and they give you one big price where yeah you pick out the one you want, they slaughter it and carve it up for you. I mean, unless they do that themselves, but there's a lot of ranchers who take that and have that farmed out to somebody else.
Yeah. So you remember Lucy?
Yeah, yeah, I remember Lucy. Yeah, 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 yeah. I remember.
She lives up in Wisconsin, and she actually bought I think a half a cow last year, and I forgot. I think either her son, either Stevie, her son, told me, or my sister told me. I don't remember which one, but either way, I contacted her, and she had a couple people she gets it from, and so she gave me both prices on people, and the one person's like 6 hours closer, so I'm gonna go with that one. But like they gave me, I think it's $2.90 a hanging weight per pound, and then it's like $1.90 per pound to cut or something like that. There and so at that rate, it ends up coming out to like $1,800 for a half a cow or something like that,
Yeah.
or maybe 1,900 for half cow, which is a fuck ton of meat, like
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna go. What I'm gonna try to do is eat predominantly meat diet. Not, I would say probably like 95% red meat, maybe 5% other stuff, fish and stuff like that. I'll probably eat more fish than I do chicken. Um,
You know what they said another good red meat that's better than beef, and I've seen this on a number of videos. Um, Venison.
I Yeah, I would like to get some of that too. But
Should go get.
shit's expensive though, unless you hunt it yourself.
Yeah,
It's like,
venison is good. It's quite a bit on the gamey side, but I like it.
what does gamey mean? I understand it's like the way to choose, but like what like
The way it tastes, it
uh
doesn't taste like a farm raised animal. So it definitely has a stronger taste to it. The best way I could describe it is gamey. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It definitely does not taste like a farm raised type of animal.
Hmm.
But the best way that I've had it and got it done a couple times, the times I went hunting my buddy's place up in Michigan when I lived in Illinois, I had it mixed in with pig lard one time, and that was bad. It took the gamey, a lot of the gamey taste out of it. And you could also mix it with beef too.
Okay.
So let's say you went hunting and you got some beef, like my buddy of mine, except in Michigan, they had a couple of cows they had slaughtered. And so when they got them slaughtered and when deer season came around, they had the guy mix it in with the beef and the venison mixed. And it tasted pretty good, man. I mean,
Yeah.
you could definitely tell it had a little bit of different taste in beef, but it didn't have that strong gamey taste in there. Now my buddy of mine, he can eat it venison straight up, and it wouldn't bother him because he was pretty much raised on it.
Yeah.
But if you're going like us who only have it now and again, you're definitely going to notice the difference in it. Even the texture is different than beef. You can
Yeah.
definitely see the difference in the way it tastes and the way it looks. But like I said, if you got to mix with pig lard and some beef, yeah, I'll eat that shit. Venison ain't bad, dude. And I've heard a number of people say that's the better option as far as red meat. So that may be another kind of meat you want to look at too. They even say bison's good red meat too. So
Bison is good. Bison is really
yeah,
good.
I've had it before too. It had been a while, but I had it before, and that's just really good too.
Yeah.
So there's a couple other options you might want to look at if you're going that route.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do the venison thing. Bison's expensive though.
Too probably it's not exactly cheap either. But like I said, if you get to go hunt
Yeah,
yourself
if
and
you can hunt it, yeah.
if you're able to grab yourself 2 or 3 deer maybe in a season, you could probably mix that in with the beef or have it straight up however you want it.
Yeah. Um, I want to try elk and bear meat. I've heard
I
like
haven't.
there's so on Joe Rogan they talked about this guy said I think it's black bear
Mhm.
or maybe it's brown. I don't know. One of the bears they eat blueberries and it turns like the lard and everything purple and it turns the meat sweet because they eat
Really?
so many like they eat so much of the blueberry. It just obviously like it's like a flamingo. Flamingo. The reason it's pinky is because it eats shrimp. It's like a baby. You give a baby too much carrots. When it's a baby, it's gonna fucking turn orange. Like it really happens. It's just a weird side effect. I would like to try that though. That would be obviously you probably won't get too much blueberry black bear meat out there or whatever, but I would like to try those too. I heard elk is really good. I
I
never
heard greasier side of those. That's what I heard. I
greasy.
haven't I haven't had elk either. So I couldn't elaborate on that one. I haven't had bear either, so I couldn't tell you if that's any good. Um, but yeah, I mean the way I look at it when I went hunting before, my mindset was that you know if I'm gonna hunt something, I'm gonna eat it. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah,
just not gonna go. So I wasn't really say, oh yeah, I want to go hunt predators necessarily. But yeah, if you haven't had venison, try it.
I have.
It's actually not that bad. You got to try it by itself too to understand
It
the
was
difference.
a
It's
long time ago though, and it's very far and few between. I think I've only had like 3 times in my life.
okay.
I really like alligator meat, dude. Alligator meat's fucking phenomenal.
Oh, like like I've had it when I was at Bass Pro Shop up there in Romeyville and Bolingbrook. I had that for the first time. Some gator nuggets.
Yeah,
Oh man, good dude. That's
dude.
just I had gator jerky once when I was in Iraq. My buddy got some different jerkies. Didn't like the gator jerky. I didn't care for it.
So
But as far as the other form, I like it.
I don't know what the place was called. I could probably look it up, but the Taste of Chicago, because it's a Chicago restaurant, obviously, it's at the Taste of Chicago. The one of the main things I would always get every year, because I our parents would take us every year and we go see the fireworks and stuff. But like the one thing I always made sure my mom got me was the alligator, and like she knew like after a point, like, hey, we gotta go stop there because Mika wants it. Dude, I would get fucking like 2 or 3 things of it because it was so fucking spicy, but it was like my mouth is watering. I'm so fucking hungry right now because we're sitting there talking about all this food and shit. Oh, dude, I'm like a fat kid when it comes down to eating, man. Um,
It's almost like shrimp and chicken kind of mixed texture.
it is,
You
yeah,
know,
no, yeah. I agree 100%. Yeah, it's weird. It definitely is a weird texture, and it to me, if I were to say it like everything else, it tastes like chicken. Like, but the texture that's I think why I like it so much because I didn't realize how much of a texture person I was until I started realizing the foods I really don't like have a lot to do with the texture. Like mushrooms, I can't fucking eat them, dude. I mean, I'll eat them, the good ones.
you ever,
But
you ever heard of morel mushrooms?
what is it?
Morel mushrooms. I got pictures of it. I'll send it to you later. Um, Over the years when I was a kid, the times I went down to Central Illinois to go see my aunts and stuff, and when I started going hunting, uh, people would be going out to the woods and looking for morel mushrooms. and it's usually around the springtime. And I went with a friend of mine named Chris that I went to high school with. He took me out to go look for them. I think it was back around like maybe 2015, 2016. He knew a couple places where they might be growing it, and I went out there and helped them pick some morel mushrooms. And I easily probably could have came across these in the woods as a kid and not realize what the hell they were. But basically, you put them in the frying pan and you fry them in butter, and they almost have like, you know how like grizzly steak might taste like. It almost tastes similar to that. It doesn't taste how they look.
Okay.
It actually wasn't that bad. I know some people use them in recipes when they make wild turkey and stuff like that. But they're actually not that bad. You actually probably like them. They fry them up in butter, on a pan, a little bit of salt. It's actually not bad, dude. It's actually not bad. You might want to try those. You actually might like those.
Murrell or
I'm not sure how to spell. I'm the last motherfucker you want to ask to spell anything. I can't spell. I'm lucky I can. I'm lucky I can. So.
Spelling bee champ.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're gonna sit there and you got a lifeline on a show and you call me up to spell something, you're fucked.
You called the wrong motherfucker, dude.
Yeah,
You better bust out your phone or some shit if I'm wasting a lifeline on your ass.
you're about to lose. You're about to lose his hand at that point.
Brandon, this is for $1 million, bro. I need to know how to spell miscongeniality.
No, you fucking we'd be both. Because I'll just hang up on you right then and there because it ain't gonna.
Oh, dude, I'm punching fucking the host of the TV show. Son of a bitch. Oh,
Yeah.
he
So
hung
don't
up
call
the
me.
phone. It wasn't him.
Yeah,
Oh,
don't
man.
call me, man. I'll be the worst.
He said, Miss. I'm losing you.
Yeah, right.
Oh, shit. Yeah, so Morel mushrooms, really. See, that's one thing I wonder too. If I just wasn't, if I would like mushrooms if they were prepared in a different way, and that's one thing I would like to try. Cause you ever seen Fantastic Fungi on Netflix?
No, I don't think so.
It's a good one, man. It's really informative. It's a really really good one, and it's all about all different types of mushrooms. It was made by a guy, like the godfather of mushrooms, which is Paul Stamets.
Yeah,
Um, I should say the Pope because that torch has been passed a couple times. I think because I think Maria Sabina is like the psilocybin fucking godmother for sure. She's the queen of psilocybin. She's the one reason why we have it. But then there's the two people who found it from Maria Sabina who also hold some credit too. So which they were amateur mycologists, and one was a housewife, one was like a dude in the 50s, flew down to Mexico, met her, and then ended up bringing him back up this way. And then that town became like a mecca for hippies. And so like the town outcasted her, and she had died outcasted from her town and stuff like that. But like now her son still does it, or her grandson, I think. And the one grandson was like, I was happy because I actually got the trip with my grandma before she passed away, and he was 12 years old. I was like, holy fuck, okay, that had to be an
well,
experience. But all in all, why I'm saying this is because on that show, Fantastic Fungi, they showed like them preparing mushrooms in different ways, going out and finding them and cooking them up with each other, like these
yeah.
groups of mycologists. And some of the stuff looked really good, and like I would love to try it. I don't have the time to learn how to cook that shit. I don't have the money to just to buy it to try it. So it's like unless that's just offered to me, but I would like to, and I'm open to try things over and over. Like I hated olives for years on end, and then now I love them.
It's funny how that works sometimes.
Yeah,
You-
I think our body, tells our taste buds what, like, hey, this person needs more of this, and it's in
Well, it
this.
changed. It's definitely changed. When you're a kid, you
Every
wouldn't eat
7 years, taste buds.
it before. Then now you actually like the taste of it. I don't know. I haven't tried this one stuff yet. I don't know if you probably seen it on Facebook, but they've been advertising the hell out of it. Like that mushroom coffee,
Yeah, mud water and shit like that, or yeah.
mushroom coffee, and I thought about trying that myself, but for like $30 a bag, it's like, god damn, man. I'm like $30. I'm like, shit, dude. I mean, I understand regular coffee's going up in price too, but $30 for a bag of that. Come on, $30. Nah, I'm good on that. I'm good.
It's crazy how much some consumable stuff costs.
I like it that much. Yeah, I'll force myself to buy it, but I'm not taking a gamble on $30.
Yeah, not with some mushroom coffee. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I see on social media I kind of ignore until like it pops up somewhere else that I feel is credible. You know what I mean? Like, and then I'll go look
Yeah,
at it again. Like, um, what was it that just happened with me with these nicotine pouches? That's what it was. I seen these a long time ago, and I was like, "That's a fucking good idea," but I didn't
what's that?
know it's they're nicotine pouches. So like, it's just the
Oh,
nicotine.
oh
It's not
yeah,
like anything else in it. Um, it's and I thought it was just like another snuff. That's what I thought it was. I didn't know it was
right.
like non-tobacco, all that stuff. And so like I kind of ignored it, and then I finally tried one from this guy one day, and I was like, "Holy shit, these things are awesome!" And come to find out, there's less chemicals in it and stuff, and like I don't have to smoke. I do hit the vape pen every once in a while now, but like I saw them on there's an advertisement on it for where the fuck was it on? It was either on it had to be on Facebook, and I just ignored it completely. I was like, "Oh, that's just some fucking stupid shit they're trying to do," and come to find out, it was something better. But I have a hard time. If I see it on social media, I'm like, "Oh, this is someone trying to target me for something." You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel less trustworthy of it. And so, like, mud water, a lot of that's another thing that people talk about in place of coffee. That's what I thought you were talking about originally. But that thing I have a hard time trusting. But I have some people that swear by it. Uh,
Yeah, they
so
say supposed to be better for you, your digestive tract, your guts, and all that kind of shit.
hmm and it sucks, dude, because like I've always had a stomach of steel. Like I literally could eat anything and I would be fine, like completely. But now since I had this hernia bulging
And
more, it is fucking me up, dude. And I get imaging here soon for it, so we'll see what's going on. But I didn't know you had say it diverticulitis. the the where your it's where your part of your intestines dies out, right? Diverticulitis.
oh no, it's, from what I understand and from what I read on it, it's like these little pouches form in your intestines.
Okay, and then the
Yeah,
bacteria grows in there. Yeah.
yeah, and the stuff gets caught up in there like seeds, harder to digest foods. They get caught up in there and they irritates it and it gets infected. And that's how you get the pains, and that's when you gotta get antibiotics for it. It turns into like an infection.
Did you have to get
So
some
yeah,
cut out?
no,
Okay.
thankfully no. Like I said, I got this last April, this last previous April, that I got hit with the first time 2 years ago. That's the first time I got hit with it. I got hit with it in April, and exactly the very month, the next month later in May, because I started feeling better. I recovered it from the first one pretty quick, but then when May came around, I got hit with it again. So I got hit with it 2 months in a row, and then later on that year, I got hit with it again around August, a third time. Luckily, the third time wasn't as bad where I went to the ER, but it wasn't hurting me as bad like it was the first two times. The first two times put me in the hospital for about a week.
Oh wow.
And so your stomach feels all fucking bloated and shit and everything else, and it just fucking hurts no matter what you do, no matter how you move. And I want to say I didn't finally get close to like 100% until probably this last November. That's when I felt my body finally felt recovered. But even after that, um, every now and then you feel kind of funny here and there. So I would say I'm not 100% like I was before. I'm probably like 90, 95. So, but that shit will kick your ass, dude. It will fuck you up. I
You're
can
this
promise.
you're the second person who's told me they had that in like the last month, but also too because the umbilical thing, so it's kind of
If mom
uh,
got hit with the same stuff too. She got hit with diverticulitis. Because I remember when I was younger, she ended up in the hospital with it. You know, as a kid and you're younger, you're growing up, you don't realize or pay attention to shit you probably should. And then now looking back at it years later, you're like, oh my god, that was fucking it. Holy shit. Yeah, you should have been paying attention closer, dumbass. But my great aunt and my mother's family um, got hit with it a few times as well. So I noticed uh, intestinal issues kind of hits up my mother's side of the family of what I noted. So
Mm.
I inherited that one. So yeah,
Yeah, that always sucks, dude. Our parents leave us with the best stuff, right?
yeah. Like I said, genetics are a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, 100%. I'm interested to see where the research on epigenetics comes out because we now know that things are turned on and off on a daily basis, and so it's just depending on the stimuli you come in contact with, and so it's gonna truly have us look at like any type of electrical stimuli has to have the largest effect on it to me. I would think because our body is electrical. Obviously, we're little electrical power plants, really.
Yeah,
There's electrical charges in every single one of our cells. That's why in the Matrix they harvest us.
a lot of water mixed with that too.
Yeah, dude. So the water content. I was actually doing some research on water content in our body today because I need to figure out a way to try and prevent the swing in pain I get from pressure changes in the environment. Like there has to be a way that we can that can be stopped.
You talking about like you get headaches or something?
Well, no, when like a storm is coming, my neck and it gets horrible. Like I thought my lower back got bad, but my neck is like 1,000 times worse than my lower back when a storm comes in. And I don't know if it's because we've been getting these like really quick short storms that have been coming through, but it is debilitating, man, and it's messing me up really really bad. And it's like I hate when a doctor goes, "Oh, they've misproved they disproved that." Bullshit. Show me the study where they showed that
Yeah,
pressure
because I'm
change on a container does not affect the interior water. There's no studies that show it. And with our body being 70% water, it's definitely it has to be the water in our body that's getting affected. You know what I mean? And like I can
yeah.
feel it. Like the one day, I was like, my legs just got super tight. I don't know what's going on. Like, it freaked me out. And like I thought maybe some like my disc had popped out more. But like it felt like I could like it felt like my legs were like a balloon that was about to pop because how like bulge like
Wow.
they weren't bloated at all. Like, but it just fucking felt like so like they wanted to blow out. Like it was a bomb that just wanted to and it like it went from my
Oh,
thighs
weird.
all the way down to my calves, and I was like, what is going on? And then later on that night, because it was maybe 6 o'clock, this happened.
Yeah.
We got like a really really bad like microburst storm, like where it just dude shit flew everywhere. Like the house was like shaking from the windows, like so violent it woke me up, and I'm a pretty deep sleeper. And I was like, oh my god, that's what it's from. And like ever since that day, it's been really bad with the really quick storms. And maybe it's because I became more aware to the feeling that it was since it was so exacerbated that day. But
Yeah.
it was dude, I've been trying to like think of a way like, hey, how can I prepare my body for it, or what do I need to do? Because before I just thought, hey, I'm just not going to look at the weather, and when it happens, I'll deal with it, and that way I don't get any placebo effect. But now
Yeah.
it's to the point where like, okay, I got to look at the weather because I got to know when this thing's coming because there has to be something I can do to at least mitigate the pain or mitigate that pressure. And obviously ibuprofen is the first thing I'm going to try and first thing I'm trying, but it takes it down a little bit, but it doesn't do what needs to be done in order to prevent it.
I don't know. I don't know if it would work, and I'm just like taking a stab in the dark. But you ever thought about maybe 'cause I know in Illinois it's legal. You ever thought about I don't know, maybe some medical weed or some gummies or CBD might be, another choice if you don't want like the high effect.
And
Maybe that might help a little bit.
I do take CBD and THC gummies for like my back pain and stuff like that, but I've never like tried to preload it with it, which that would because it has such a high body effect that actually would probably be a good idea.
Yeah, so let's say if you know a storm's coming and like I said, you're trying to figure out what the hell works for you, maybe plan something ahead of time where you're watching the weather, there's gonna be a big shitstorm coming down. Give it a shot and see if that does anything.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely I think I'll
Enough where you can deal with it till it passes.
yeah. No, that's definitely sounds like it's worth a try. That's actually a good point too. No, I'll try that next time. I'll see. I have to go look at the weather now. That's another thing that I'm not going to be used to.
Fuck it. I mean, it's like you said, you're trying to figure out ways to mitigate it, and obviously the doctors don't know what the fuck it is or whatever. So give it a shot. I mean, worst case, it doesn't work and it's still gonna fuck you up. So I don't know. Yeah,
Still get high at least, right?
at least you can't sit there and say, you can't sit there and say, well, I just had on my ass didn't do anything.
Yeah, right. Watch a
Yeah.
movie.
So I would say give it a shot. Look at the next, watch the weather reports. If you know, like Wednesday, it's expected to be a big ass fucking storm and you see the shit coming out or whatever and you're starting to feel fucked up, down the hatch.
Right. I'm gonna try that. No, I really am. 'Cause I got like 3 unopened things of THC and CBD gummies in there.
Yeah,
I,
I would say try the different ones, the different storms. CBD might work better,
yeah,
or the THC might work better.
I think it's gonna have to have some CBD in it because the CBD is what has the pain killing qualities, and even CBD actually has effect on the nervous system,
Yeah,
which is good for people in my case because like a lot of my pain is nerve pain, and
yeah.
so opiates work on muscular pain, not on nerve pain. But
I think it might work good on like lower back pain. CBD gummies.
yeah,
Hmm. I don't know. Maybe I'll give that a shot.
no, you should 100%.
Yeah.
They definitely do. They work wonders for my lower back pain. Definite wonders. But
Okay. Like I know there's a store down the street that does specifically
CBD,
CBD.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely try it out. Do your research on the companies though, because like obviously a lot of that stuff is outside of FDA regulations. So, I mean, even the marijuana dispensaries are outside of FDA regulation. I think, if I'm not mistaken. I think they have to adhere to some things, but I don't think it has to do to the true content of what's going in. I don't know.
Yeah. Down here in Florida, you got to have a green card in order to get the THC shit, but the CBD obviously is open for everybody and shit. So
Yeah,
I didn't know he actually was like you said for the pain thing. So yeah, fuck it, I might actually look into that.
yeah. No, you definitely should because it definitely helps drastically. Yeah, that and turmeric. Turmeric is really good for lower back pain because it helps with the swelling in the area.
What's it called?
Turmeric. It's a root.
Turmeric.
Yeah.
You got to text me later because I'm not gonna remember this shit. And like, try me have me spell that. It'll take me into totally something else. I guarantee you.
you be
It will.
taking some, you be taking some hormone pills. They're gonna make you grow like
Oh,
I know.
I don't know if but I mean, but yeah, like I said, try to give me the spell that. Look for that online. I'll be. It won't pan out.
Oh yeah, no, I got you. I'll text you later. But I need to go eat some food. I'm freaking getting all like woozy and lightheaded a little bit here.
Yeah, go eat some, dude. Yeah, definitely. Go ahead and go eat some shit.
So I'm gonna go eat. But we got like a good hour and a half out of this, but we got these other topics that I wanted to hit too because there was some good stuff in those. I'm gonna see
We
what
could look at part three later if you want.
we could do. What?
So we could look at doing a part three later on if you want.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'll shoot you a text. I'll text you that stuff too, and then we'll see where it's at.
yeah. Sounds good, man. Sounds really good.
All right, for sure. I appreciate it, brother.
No problem.
All
All
right,
right,
take it easy.
you too.